Hey, this is a one-take video. So this is basically a community response to Ginger Hippy Gaming's community question. So it's not a community challenge. And he was basically musing by his fire and talking about, you know, why he started his channel, the kind of things it's helped him with, what his interests are and what his approach is, and just sort of posing the question. And in fact, you kind of posed several sub questions, so that's why I'm looking down, because I haven't got a script that may answer one of your questions, but what I do have is at least the sub questions that you pose so that I can sort of approach them in one. So let's go through it. And the other good response to this, and I'll put both of these in the description. Out of the ones that I've watched, I've only watched the two. So you got Ginger Hippy, he's the original, and then Rodgy Retro Gamer made some really good points in his response to this main overarching question as well. So the main overarching question is, what got you started on YouTube? So for me, well, there's two ways to answer that question. What got me started on YouTube and what got me started on this channel? Because I've been messing about for quite a long time, but my other hobby is cars, is cars, and so of course it's good fun. And so what I used to try and do, and I've been doing that for years and years and years, especially when I was in the Japanese car scene, is I would take my mini DV cam and I would I don't want to go too on about this scene, so I'll rush this bit, but I would film the club cruises, do a quick edit to some music that would now get copyright striked, and throw it up on YouTube. So I was doing that, and then that sort of progressed, and I've done some quite nice event edits that I'm quite pleased with. Obviously not Top Gear Star or anything like that, but but the problem with doing car videos, even though that is a real passion of mine, they take a lot of effort. You think this takes some effort sometimes. I mean, doing car videos, you got to get one or two cameras at least. You got to rig them up in the car. Then you got the nightmare of audio, so you basically need an external microphone as well, and it is just a logistical nightmare. So much as I enjoy that, I've kind of stopped doing that, and if I do anything, it's... In fact, I've even just put my GoPro away. I don't even use my GoPro anymore. So what got me started on this channel in terms of the context of retro gaming and collecting, or as it is for me, recollecting, is I just got hit by, and I don't know if any of you have experienced this and if this is what got you into the hobby in the first place, but I just got hit by this wave of nostalgia. I don't even know what I was looking for on YouTube, but I would have come across something, and I want to say it was maybe RMC's Amiga restoration. It could have been something else. But it just sent me on this rabbit hole, and the Amiga is the central to my computer, gaming life from back in my teenage years, as many of you know. And it was just so strong and so powerful, this pang of nostalgia and rediscovering those sort of memories from the past and that kind of thing. And I just loved it. And then as I went down that rabbit hole, I know I came across Dan Wood and his style for some of his earlier videos, which is what I was catching up with. By this point, I'd now repurchased an Amiga, but I had to wait to collect it from the UK. That's another story. But I just loved his simplistic style, to the camera, blah, 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 point made. He's got an amazing voice. He obviously does radio work and everything on the side as well. I think that's his main job, and he does this on the side, one way or the other. Anyway, and it just made me think, well, I can do that, and not to do that to imitate, and that comes into one of the other questions we'll come into. But at that point, I thought I had an interesting story to tell. Here I was, I'm in Australia, I've bought an Amiga, and I've had it shipped to my parents in the UK, and I've got to wait a flipping year to go and collect it. And I thought, well, maybe there's an interesting story there. Really, that was what it was. Now, I also need to throw in this. Along with doing the car videos, I have a background in editing, not to any massive level, but I have done it professionally, lucky enough to be able to do that. So when I restarted this journey, I didn't want to add all that in. I really wanted to just do this kind of stuff. Just let's talk to a camera, get your point across, and off you go. But that, I hope, kind of explains why in some of my videos I do try and go to that extra level to make it a little bit more entertaining, simply because I can. I have access to technology, I understand the technology, but I don't do it all the time. And that really does segue us, otherwise this is going to be a really long video, into how have you ended up with your style and your inspirations? I think this is two in the same. I'm going to sort of merge these questions. My inspirations are across the board in terms of, you know, talking about YouTube retro gaming stuff and retro computer stuff now, specifically. I love the high-end stuff. Of course I do. I love watching RMC. I love watching LGR. I love watching... when you say this, then you can't think of any. But, you know, all those polished, Nostalgia Nerd, all those really polished channels, they put a lot of effort in. Keeping in mind, a lot of those guys, they have gone full time. This is now their job. So, of course, they have the time to put into, and they have to put the effort in. And I love watching that. I will watch that more than I will watch normal TV and more than I will watch Netflix. Or anything like that. That to me is, that's what my TV there we go. Look, it's not on right now. There's my TV on the wall over there. And that's what I'll flick that on. YouTube goes on that and then I'm away watching that. But I equally love watching, you know, you guys watching Ginger Hippy Gaming. I don't want to miss anybody out. So I'm going to miss people out, but, you know, Ginger Hippy Gaming, Sega Zombie, Dave, Retro Games Played Badly. Got it right first time. Game Racer, that kind of thing. Nice, you know, point, shoot, again, you know, camera, tripod, good audio, and it's about the games that you've collected if you're into that, or the games that you're playing right now if you're into that. Steve Benway, when I first got into this, was hooked on his stuff. What a nice simple method. You know, I'm going to play a game and then I'm going to answer a question from the community every single freaking episode, and it works and it's great. Like all of us, we can ramble. I can ramble, and that really is getting back to my style. Because I can edit and because I understand that, I know I ramble, and I know a video can go on for longer than perhaps it should. So even if I just do a point and shoot to camera like this one will go unedited. That's my promise to you. Vote for me. But an ordinary, let's say if I'm even doing a pickups, if I've noticed it's gone over 20 minutes, over 30 minutes, over 40 minutes, I will jump cut, bang, 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 because... Again, I guess it's recognizing my watching habits, and if a video is too long, that will sit in my watch later queue forever until I've got time to dedicate to watching that. So that's just sort of recognizing how I view YouTube and sort of catering to my short attention span, I guess, but just trying to get out that ramble. So my style, I hope, has landed somewhere in between the two, not wanting to be better than anybody and not aspiring to be up with the top at all, because this is, you know, this is my hobby. I'm not making a living out of this, but because of my background that I can do some editing, I hopefully know how to frame a nice shot. Hopefully you're finding I land somewhere in between the two, and I think that's naturally where I've ended up. Correct me in the comments. Somewhere in the middle, you know, and not to say that there's anything wrong with, you know, the quick, short, sharp production, because for me, why would I watch you, Ginger Hippy Gaming? Because what you've got to say is interesting, and you get the key things right. I can see you in shot. It's generally not blurry. The fire is a rock for your back, because that makes the lens warp, doesn't it? The focus, that's a real pain in the backside, I know. But I can hear what you're saying clearly most of the time, and that's the key thing. You know, the only reason I would switch off is if I can't see anything and I can't hear anything. But it's about what I can hear. It's about hearing the stories, hearing your passion, hearing your memories. When I first got into this, I really hated... not hated, it's not the wrong word, but I didn't quite understand pickups videos. I just thought, who is this random bloke on the internet? This isn't aimed at anybody in particular, showing off their crap. Seriously, that's how I thought. But then I would watch one and I would see a game that I'd forgotten I ever knew. And then I started to understand it. It's not people showing off their crap, it's people sharing. It's people sharing what they managed to recollect, or what's already in their collection that they're passionate about. And that, for those of us that are into recollecting the memories, is crucial, because we can't remember everything. But then suddenly you see that box art and you go, I had that. or you see somebody's gameplay video and you hear the tune and you hear the sound effects and you go, I played that, and then suddenly it goes on your wish list. Yep, I definitely had that. I want that again in my life. So I now love them. Even though I started to love them, oh, by the way, in the community, that's become one of my favorite types of video. If you want to get to know someone, watch their pickups video, because generally that's where the most honest, the most free flowing presentation I find comes out. So yeah, I was going to say something else there, but it's gone and we're going on for too long already. Do I plan or script? Look, again, I guess with me naturally landing somewhere in the middle between, you know, those doing it for a living and those just showing us what you've collected, it's wrong to put these at the bottom. Let's put them that way. It's that way and that way. It's not bottom and top. That's not how this works. It's one end and the other end. Let's talk about it that way. So I have planned some videos, but the most scripted video was the X-Wing Squadron versus X-Wings. If you haven't watched that and you're into that kind of thing, go and have a look at that. Just comparing X-Wing against Squadrons, and I wanted to not forget stuff. That's why I scripted it. I think the content of the video is good, but the presentation is awful because it's scripted. It really, even though those are my honest, passionate thoughts on that topic, there's no fake in there. It took a lot of effort. That video is probably one of the longest ones I've had to actually cut and all that kind of thing, because I had footage from the PC, overlay, voiceover, footage from the PlayStation 4, get that in. But it doesn't come across natural, and I think that sort of brings it down. The other one that was probably equally as planned, but not, because it started off as kind of random, was the one where I've compared FA18 on the Amiga, on a stock Amiga versus an accelerated Amiga, and going into the maths now as to which one is more accurate to real life. And so on that particular video, yes, I planned it, but I didn't script it. There's some bits, if you listen to it, where you go, well, that sounds scripted. And that's because during the production of it, I go, well, I need to put something in there while that footage is running to explain what I mean there. And so those bits were done as a voiceover rather than, you know, a piece to camera like this, because they needed to be short, sharp. So those do come across as a little bit stinted. But other than that, I knew what I wanted to do in that video, and I knew in my head what I needed to do to make it work as a video, but I didn't script it. It was just a very loose plan. What I now try and do, and simply because of, you know, a pickups video will always be a pickups video, as I've said before. If I'm doing a gameplay video, I do try and top and tail it because it is nice to have an on-screen presence. So what I'll try and do is, you know, intro, outro from the same camera angle, and then I'll close up on the screen. And then do that, and then, because again for me that's very simple to edit. This all comes down to trying to do it as quickly as possible, because it's a hobby. Again, I'm not making money out of this. It is just a hobby, and one of the key things is do it for yourself. This is stealing a quote from Rodgy Retro Gamer. Would I be playing these games on that Saturday anyway? I would love to. Therefore, why not make a video as I do it? One of the challenges I have, because I'm recollecting, what I really want to capture on video are my first impressions going back to a game for the first time. That's genuinely what I want to try and capture when I'm doing a gameplay video. And that means stuff will sit on my shelf and I won't touch it until you've seen it in a pickups, and then I won't play it until I do that first reaction video. And that becomes a bit of a challenge. That is where it's sort of, the line is blurred. What is the hobby? Is making the videos the hobby, or is playing the games the hobby? But I enjoy both. So I don't think that distortion is in a bad place right now, but it is certainly something I keep an eye on, because what I do find is that can stop me playing the games, because I haven't yet done it in a pickups and I haven't yet done that first reaction on it. And that really is what I want to capture for myself, because I don't remember everything these days, and for you guys that seem to find that kind of stuff interesting. Just to quickly say, this is going on for far too long, but did you plan your channel introduction? One video I happen to say, because I genuinely wanted to thank people. I thought it was amazing that people were finding my content worth watching. So it was genuine the very first time I said, hey, and thank you for clicking play. And then I think I just kind of did it almost accidentally the following week, and then the following week, and now it's stuck. But I genuinely mean it. That's why I've kept it there, because I genuinely do thank anyone that has chosen to click on my particular video, whether it's through subscription or suggestions or in a Facebook post or whatever. I do thank you for your time. I genuinely do. So that's why once I thought it rhymes, it works, let's keep it, let's roll with it. But it is genuinely felt. For me, not chasing subs, but of course they're nice. Not chasing views, but of course they're nice. I mean, yeah. Look, I'm going to be frank on this. Of course, it will be nice to have over 1,000 subs. Of course, it would. Of course, it's nice when you see that lots of people have watched your video, because then the time it took is worth it. Does that make sense? I mean, yeah. Of course, I'm not chasing those things, but it's nice to see them. Does that make sense? So I have no delusions of, oh, I'm going to be a YouTube star. None of that. It's a hobby. But if I was doing this week after week after week, and I got 2 views every week after week, then I would stop because I'm clearly wasting my time. It's not interesting to anyone. So why am I putting it out there? Does that make sense? So yeah, I thought I had to say that. But as you've seen, apart from my subscription for the Adobe Suite, which isn't cheap for editing, because Premiere is what I know best, everything is done on a budget. So whilst hopefully the presentation is nice, I am conscious of lighting in this room or wherever I'm filming, and I try to use that. I click the lock. So most camera apps will have a lock focus icon. That's a really good feature to get used to knowing, and you can adjust the lighting. So I'm aware of things like that. I'm aware of things like rule of thirds. So this is a whole separate video. I used to do workshops as part of my professional job on how to do, what did I used to call them? Professional video made easy. So I might do a separate video on that, because that's a whole other topic. Just to give a few hints, and they're just the things that I use, but everything is still done on a budget. This is just a phone. It's a Pixel XL that is on its last legs on its battery, but I was given this for free. So there we go. I'm using a tripod that I've had for years. I used to use this with a mini DV video camera. So no spend there. The only things, and as you can see, I just use the headset from my phone to record the audio, because clear audio is so important. And often if I'm moving closer and away from the camera, that's going to bugger it up for you guys. And I'm conscious of that. So that's why I do this. I'd love to get one of those Rode lapel mics, but they're like $60. That's $60 I could spend on games. And I'm sorry, I don't love you guys that much. I'd rather spend it on the games. Lighting, just aware of what's in the room. And I have got this, but again, this was about, well, the equivalent of £7.50 for you guys in the UK. So about, what was it, $15, $14. My wife was picking one up for my son ready for Christmas, and I saw how cheap they were, and I just picked another one off the shelf, put it in her hand. She goes, and I said to her, "You're buying me that for Christmas," and that's the only reason I've got this. And that really does just help me if I'm focusing on a screen, and then I can light the computers, because it's nice to be able to see the computers. When you focus on a screen, everything else goes dark. So that helps fix that for me. But again, not throwing massive money at it. I'm just working with what I've got. I just happen to have a bit more experience. But again, look back at my look back at my episode 1. It is shaky cam. It is no lighting. It's crap, but I'm just telling my story. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. And if you can add the fluff without, what am I trying to say here? I'm at the end of the video. If you can add the fluff without losing the honesty of your videos, hopefully, again, that's where I'm ending up. Does that make sense? Yeah, I hope nothing I do ever comes across as fake, because genuinely it isn't. It is still just my thoughts, my passion on this hobby. I just happen to be aware of how to add a little bit of polish to that, but not too much. So yeah, give me your thoughts if you've got a YouTube channel, or hopefully, look, see that as inspiration if you've been thinking about starting one and you're just watching everybody else's in the community. Seriously, it can be as good as this. All I ask is you do it this way, you don't do it that way, because otherwise I'll have to turn my 65-inch on its side to watch your video. All right, cheers guys. Catch you later and stay safe.